Welcome to the Sigma Show, episode 40. It is me, your host, Sigma. And before I let you know who's joining me today, real quick, we'll just go over what we're going to be talking about on this week's episode. First up, another filmmaker has basically made comments about the quality of Marvel films. We'll try and get into the nitty gritty of why this keeps happening and maybe what he means by his comments and what that means for Marvel in general, if anything. And not a ton of news, but one thing that apparently the internet found very interesting was something that I actually wrote about literally an anecdote, a story about me and my son and our relationship to video games. And it kind of sparked a bit of outrage in some people. I want to say like exactly half of people, because the other half seem to be very understanding and related to the story. But we'll basically get into kind of what the hell that was all about as well. But joining me to have these conversations are Ash Redux,
Hello, hello. That's all I'm gonna say because there's a train going by, so I'm mute.
as well as Blue Bones.
It's your boy. What's going on, everybody?
Glad to have you guys here. I did, and some of you folks might have seen this on Twitter. Like I did invite some of the detractors to the piece that I just mentioned to kind of talk about it on the show. Did not get a response from any of them. The most was some of the people who had initial negative responses responded to that tweet saying, you know what, I had some time to think about it. It actually wasn't that serious. I want to say two people. One that I tagged, another who I didn't tag and didn't know who that person was, but basically said the same thing, that they, after the fact, didn't feel as strongly about their stance. So I can only assume that maybe the majority of them, if not all of them, kind of felt that way after having some time to think about it. But either way, I do think that there was an interesting conversation brought up by that, and we will get into it later on. But before we get into all of that, shout out to Lampy, who's always keeping us in check. Yes, I did go wrong on the I did go live on the wrong channel before switching over. And Honey Money's here, DJ's here. What's up?
What's up, yo?
First,
The train is gone.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. We're going to give you another update on the Activision Blizzard situation because that is still ongoing. There wasn't too much to talk about last week. But most recently, Activision workers have come out and said that Blizzard is using a union busting, what do they call it? Like a company liaison,
Tactic.
whatever. Yeah, like they're working with some group that is known for kind of destroying the ability for workers to unionize within like a big corporation, right? Mm-hmm. So that's very much kind of anti what the workers are trying to achieve here. And it's not really a surprise because Activision Blizzard is a big corporation and big corporations hate unions because, you know, it starts to chip away at all
Make
the
things
power that the
fair.
corporation has, right? And the other big thing is that they've hired a new HR boss. The last one was not well liked within the company, supposedly. But this new boss, Julie Hodges, is formerly of Disney, has worked with the Disney Corporation for like several years, and is coming on to basically be a better face for the organization there. But it doesn't necessarily say what that's going to do for the employees because, as we've all been learning, HR is not necessarily your friend. Like when you like really get down to thinking about it. But like, what are either of you guys' reactions to kind of the latest from Blizzard so far?
Oh, we starting with Blizzard. Um, Man, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. Mostly because I love their games. But it's terrible. It's what you would expect from Big Core. You know what I mean? And it's sad to see that it's actually happening. Um, and when I say that's what you would expect, that's what you see in the movies. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're the stereotypical corporate villains that are making this happen. I I stopped playing Overwatch for a while because of all this stuff, and I was talking to a couple people. I have some friends who actually work at Blizzard, and I had a conversation with one of my homegirls, and basically I came back to playing and streaming it again because you want to help the workers, the developers, not the execs, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different kind of support there, but to see that even internally that they're getting busted up is just it's heartbreaking. you know, because there's a lot of love and passion for these games, because they're staying at the company, and they're getting compensated relatively well to some of them, but it's just when you this frat boy mentality has just been going on way too long, and I'm glad to see that uh, they're being challenged, that they're actually seriously being
Hmm.
challenged. So that's the only positive I can really draw from this situation. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It hurts.
No, I feel yeah, you've been a long time Blizzard fan, so like it really stinks
Yeah.
to want to play their games, but then kind of feel grimy about it because of this stuff. Like I get that.
Yeah. Hmm.
How about you, Ash?
So, like you guys said, it's kind of expected that big corp doesn't want their employees to unionize and such like that. And regardless of like even like my own personal feelings towards it, it's just like why would they think now's a good time to do this? Like with everything that's already going on, it's like you either should have started trying to do your union busting before all of this happened, or you should have waited because it's too late now. You're in the thick of it. It's too late to
Hmm.
be trying to like do your like big corpo moves right now. You literally need to be playing catch up. In my opinion, it's like why are you trying to do all this
Like they're
extra
in
stuff?
yeah
And
they're in the limelight. The headlights are on them. They're looking for what they're doing to make things right, and yet all their moves
it,
are to kind of scorch earth and cover their tracks and prevent
right, I'm like
damage to
you.
the
You
people.
just
Like
need
Go
to,
back.
and
I
everybody's gonna
think
see the
this could be
stuff. So
two
it's like,
things though. It could be one, they were doing it before and now it's just coming to light,
that's
or two,
true.
they are in super panic mode.
If it's the first one, and that's why I was like, regardless of how I feel about like them trying to prevent their employees the ability to unionize, it's like if it was beforehand, okay, it came to the lime. It's now that they're under the limelight and everything's like being like
Super
more thoroughly,
analyzed.
yeah, super analyzed.
Yeah.
And now maybe if we're just coming into it, I won't take it as horribly as I would as if they just started this super panic. If that makes sense, you know what I mean? It's like if they started this before, this was already in the process. Even if I don't like it personally, at least it doesn't. In my mind, I won't go, "Wow, you guys are really that much of a."
Scrambling.
Yeah, like this is that bad. Like this, it's not a good look in any way. I try to look at it if they just started now. At least if they start before, I'm like, all right, that sucks, but I'm not gonna hold them for that as if it applies to what's like the current issue per se. I would have
Gotcha.
probably put it on hold myself. I'd be like, hey, maybe we can
mhm,
pause this little process for a little bit, but I wouldn't hold
mhm.
them as bad as I would as if it was like they just started now. But
Right.
yeah, so that's that part for the Disney exec. I don't know much when it comes to like how Disney's like was she in HR before? I'm assuming she was HR before at Disney,
Yeah,
or I did.
she
Yeah, like that was what she learned at
yeah,
Disney.
she
Yeah.
was like doing that
She
for
was
like
like,
32 years.
geez, that's a long time. Because I forget if they said like
Yeah.
they said vice president or senior vice president. I think they said her position was
She was formerly a senior vice president
okay
over at Disney, yeah.
for HR. So it's like obviously she has the credentials, and I don't know how they liked her over there. To be fair, I like to on one end I like to think, oh yeah, Disney has the money to make sure they actually get good people for stuff like that. But then I also see all the horror stories for Disney, and there's big corpo, then there's big mouse. Like that's a whole different level of of big corpo. Um, but yeah, so it's like I hope that she obviously has the years of experience. I just hope that years of experience was positive and that it can do well for
But But that's the thing.
Activision
Positive
Blizzard's
for who?
environment.
Because DJ
Right, for
makes a
who?
great point. He says they hired a new HR head, formerly from Disney, but HR is for the company, and they are
For the
working with a
company.
union buster law firm, which you mentioned earlier. Yeah, so like they hired a new HR person because the last one essentially failed because a bunch of stuff got out about how bad their HR is, right? So
Hmm.
nothing that
So
Blizzard
y'all
has
think
done
it's another
here.
dog keeper?
Yeah, like nothing that Blizzard has done here is addressing the workers' complaints because they
Is
released their
addressing,
statement of like
yeah.
these 5 points or maybe more that they want to address. The top of that list was like forced arbitration needs to go out the window, right? No response or acknowledgement of any of that. Instead, Blizzard hears all the backlash from the media, other companies, and whatnot, and are saying, okay, so we're gonna hire these people to make sure the workers stop like agitating things, and we're gonna hire a new HR person because the last one failed. It's like none of it
Right.
actually cares or is thinking about the employees in like a meaningful way. It's like that's the vibe I
Right.
get.
Right.
Like they're still
And
just being a company.
and at the same time, too, at the end of the day, they are still a company. So I get parts of it, right? Like I know, I understand parts of it, and we got to make sure our company doesn't fail. But at the same time, what's going to make their company fail, in my opinion, because I don't know numbers, I don't see anything, I haven't analyzed their their portfolios or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But from a consumer standpoint, from the outside looking in, their biggest issue right now looks to be internally with their employees and make sure their employees are being taken care of. So regardless of what they feel like they need to do to protect the company, that should be their definite main focus right now. And then worry about okay, we have the better. I always figured thought of HR as like a liaison between the company and the employee. So it's like we can get somebody who's better suited to still protect us, but also make our employees feel valued.
Yeah, make the
in that
employees
position.
stop yelling and screaming about how bad
like
the situation is, right?
Right. So I get it. The HR part, even if it is still at the end of the day more so for the company, I at least understand doing that because at least the employees were like, "Hey, we don't like this HR person." That one at least still fits a little bit, even if it might lean towards the company. But the union busting part, like I already said, if it was beforehand, whatever, I would have probably paused it. Or, but like whatever.
Because all
they started
companies
now,
have that same energy. Like no big
they all have the same
corporation
energy.
wants their workers to unionize. So like that's not surprising. But like in the wake of this, it's like come on, like that's your move. It just doesn't make any sense. But
yeah,
No,
that's me. You go ahead. The last thing I was gonna say was if it was me, it was like if it was something we were already doing beforehand, as soon as all this started to happen, one of my public statements, when all the public statements they've been giving since all this started, would have been, "Hey, we started this earlier. We're gonna put a pause to it now because this does not seem the right time to be pushing that type of thing." Like, but them still doing it, even if they started beforehand, it's like I don't know. Either way, bad. It's not a good look. As soon as you get under the limelight, you might as well just start confessing everything you've been doing immediately. Because I'm being serious though. It's like if you already got caught,
I'm just gonna roll over. I'm not gonna lie. In 2021, man, in 2021, they'll pull up any and everything. And people already took screenshots of all the dumb stuff you said when you was 13 on the internet. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna catch everybody doing some wild stuff.
Just start admitting, like, "Hey, look, this is what's going on. We trying to fix it." That's all I got.
Transparency era.
Well, yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. But yeah, so we'll move on from the Blizzard update. If there's any more news next week, you'll hear it here. But we'll real quick go over. Since it's been a while since Ash or Blue has been on the show, I want to say, let's get into some what you've been playing, what you've been watching. Let's catch up a little bit, guys. How's everything been? How's life?
Life is good.
Life is good.
Do you want to start, Ash?
Yeah, I'll start on this one. Let's see. Been playing Tales of Arise, honestly, since that came out, or at least that's what I would like to say. But since I started streaming it, so now I want to play it during streams, and I haven't streamed since 9 days ago. I have not played it since the day it came out.
That rule kind of like screws you up sometimes.
It does, because it's like when I do have free time, but I don't have enough time to like. That's worth trying, especially as an RPG. You don't want to just stream an RPG for like an hour, like not. And it's the early game too. Not much is gonna happen. It's like they do a quick build up to get you interested, but after that, it calms down for a little bit. I don't want to stream that for 1 hour. That doesn't feel worth it. But Tales of Rise. When I did have some free time, I played the Call of Duty Vanguard beta. I played that for a little bit because it was like 1 a.m. And I was like, I'm not going to stream because I got a wife and 2 sleeping kids. So I'm just going to play the beta a little bit. So I played the Vanguard beta. I thought it was all right. I realized I'm not like the people who are that high when it comes to Call of Duty as much as I do like Call of Duty games.
A while ago.
I especially now that I'm good, but I'm also not the person who's like, yeah, this game sucks. The gun feels so like I don't know what that means. I just play the game and I do good at it. So I just, that's all I got for you. I don't know what that means. It sounds like an excuse. But
Gun feel.
like the feel of the gun.
I can definitely see somebody saying like, these guns don't feel good. I
that's
hate
a
this
real
game.
thing. No, I'm
No,
serious.
I
That's a very
understand,
real
and
thing.
it just,
I'm sure.
and
It's like-
it's as trivial as it feels to me, right? I'm the same way about certain RPGs. I'm just like, yo, why can't we customize this? This is so lame. And they're like, really, dude? Like, just play the game. Like, I am playing it. Anyway,
See?
that's a whole other conversation.
But yeah, so I played that a little bit. I finally decided, you know what? I bought this game. I never put any time into it. It's literally just been in my library. So after I played the Vanguard beta late at night until like I started at 1, I played until 2:30. From 2:30 to 5, I played Stardew Valley. And,
Oh, wow.
Yo,
I had a great time.
people love that game.
I had a great time. I was a big Rune Factory fan as a kid. Without going into the whole Natsume and the
Harvest Moon.
Marvelous, yeah, and Marvelous. So Natsume and Marvelous were both a part of like the OG Harvest Moon, but then it split. So like nobody uses Harvest Moon now. Now it's Story of Seasons and
Which was
Rune
terrible,
Factory.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, most of the Story of Seasons are not that good. The people who were like the main part of the original like Harvest Moon games and their company, they make the Rune Factory games. Those are great. I love Rune Factory. Take Harvest Moon, but I know I haven't gotten that far yet. I know Stardew Valley is supposed to have combat or whatever. But take Harvest Moon and add like dungeon crawling into it as well. So like you're farming, but you also go mining for resources, but you have to fight monsters there. You can also like get a Pokemon element. You can capture, quote unquote, capture the monsters, train them to work, like be a part of yours, like depending on what they are, they might produce milk, they might lay eggs, that type of thing. So I like Rune Factory. It's great. But yeah, that's what I've been playing.
That on I think it's called Moonlighter. It's on Game Pass.
Yeah, I remember you playing that. Yeah,
that one's
does
really
sound
nice.
like that. Yeah.
Which one's Moonlighter? I think did I play Moonlighter?
I think it's called Moonlighter.
No, I think you are correct. It is Moonlighter.
Oh yeah, the one where you run the shop.
Yeah, but you still go dungeoneering, and you know,
Mhm.
just like you're saying, you can train monsters and stuff like that, and come back. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, I played that one, and I really liked that. I just didn't get a chance. Something came out, and then I just started playing something else.
It'd be like that, bro.
It'd be like that. But yeah, so those are the 3 things I've been playing as of late, and watching the new season of The Circle. Yes.
Yes, I'm 1 episode behind, son.
Oh, I'm caught up. We caught up now.
I remember you told me, son. That show is wild.
Trash TV for you.
I don't think it's trash. It's really well, like the game structure itself is very smart. It's very smart.
It's quality TV, trash people.
Exactly. And it's funny to see trash people in situations where they have to be smart.
Or the ones that act like they're smart, but you see them
looking like an idiot.
Nick B, I'll be like,
I hate Nick. But we won't get into that.
I mean, it's your turn. You can get into whatever you want. I'm done. You can say whatever you want. Start talking about Nick.
I've been watching The Circle, and I hate Nick so far. In season 3. If you guys are watching season 3, you'll know why I'm like 1 episode behind. We won't get into that.
Well, I mean,
Let's talk about
I've not watched like more than 3 episodes of the first season. Can we just get like an overview of who Nick in The Circle is and why you hate him so much?
So if you guys don't know what The Circle is a reality competition. A social media competition hosted by Netflix, where they put it's about 8 or 9 people, kind of depending on the stage of the game, in these little apartments. They live by themselves, and they can only communicate with other people in The Circle, the little social media network. They have to determine who's real, who's not, and who's the most popular. The most popular profile, they rate each other periodically, gets $100,000. And it's like 3 weeks of this stuff. So it's like 3 weeks of isolation. Now, granted, they get to work out. They have like little hot tubs and stuff like that. But like they all have to schedule times where they go to different rooms. Anyway, Nick goes in there. He says he's like this. He's like a Harvard grad or something like that.
MIT. He went to
MIT. Yeah. And he says
computer
that
science.
yeah, a lot of people think that, just because I'm smart, I'm not approachable or something like that. So I'm gonna play a stupid guy, and I'm gonna be a drummer of a metal band. And it's like, okay. And at first, it was a funny concept, but then he just seems actually stupid. And some of the things he did was just, I hated when you see like people like to pick up on the littlest clues and they can just run with it in the wrong direction because they don't have context. And I know we're going to talk about the context later, but that's kind of like the whole concept of the circle, and it's really fun seeing them get to do all this stuff. I definitely would love to play in the circle. I think it'd be great.
Oh, you
yeah.
want to be a contestant in it? Like that
Hell
sounds.
yes. Heck
Wow.
yes.
Okay.
I
Oh
think me and
yeah, I'd
Blue
love
should.
to do that.
They have people team up sometimes as one
Yeah.
profile. I would love to be on there with you, Blue. I think we would kill it. I
Oh
think we could make it
man, we
all the
would
way.
kill each other.
That too. That too. But because they don't let you, at least they don't let you bring like even video games. I'm like, but I can play a
No.
single player game. Why can't I play a single player, no
can't.
online
They
connection
got
game?
books. They playing solitaire. Yeah, they're very like
It's,
you're pretty much your
Dude, that
only
makes
electronic is what they give you.
yeah, that makes sense because it's like if you have another way to distract yourself, then you're not going to be interacting on social media. Like all
Yeah.
those things compete for your attention. So like if they
It's
make you
really dope. And the
bored,
people who
all
don't
you can do
like,
is go on social media.
and the people who don't message other people, the other people realize it. They're like, hey, we haven't made any kind of connection with you. You can go.
Right.
You can
Yeah.
go,
And then they
or
bring in
for the
new.
chopping
And
block.
granted, it's not just like elimination thing where like there was 8 and now there's 3. No. They replace people every time somebody leaves. Yo, when
That is
people get
interesting. So
fresh
like someone
eyes,
can, yeah, somebody can come
go
in
ahead.
like in the late game and still just win. Then
oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
because you have to be the
it's
most
hard,
popular.
though, but because you have to be the most popular, so it's still going to
But
be very
the
hard
new
for you to do
people
it.
have the advantage of like realizing what catfishes are and not. Like this person looks super shady, but the other person like I've been with them since day one. I know that they're genuine, and the word they
Right.
love is genuine. But
They love the
I don't
word
want to take too
genuine.
much time about the circle because I have other things.
No, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But the circle's great. I've been playing Marvel Avengers. I found it for $20. It was dope. I love the single player story was amazing. I damn near cried at the first part. Got into the second one. There's 4 stories right now, and the latest one is the War for Wakanda. I think it is.
yes,
The Black Panther expansion. Super dope. I was playing that like 2 weeks ago on stream. Haven't continued too much of it. I want to do that solely on stream, but my Hulk game is top. Games. I don't know if people know this, but I play D&D and a tabletop version of Cyberpunk on a regular basis. Ash is in one of my D&D sessions. That's why he's doing that. But like I've been loving it. I haven't talked about it too much on the streams here. I'm doing a homebrew with 5e, if you guys know what that is.
I've heard of it. I don't
and
understand what it means.
okay,
Fifth
so
edition.
it's the 5th edition of Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
That's what 5e is. Yeah. And then CD Projekt Red did a tabletop spread for Cyberpunk, and I'm playing that with a couple of my other buddies, and that is super extreme. We're doing it on everything through Roll20 for the most part, but yeah, like I'm really thinking about trying to pull together a game for maybe just like a couple short session deals for the open party. I'm seeing what we're going to do about that, but I love this,
That
and
sounds that sounds like it'll be cool.
yeah, Ash plays a tiefling rogue who
That's right.
he's a orphan who was trained by a master thief.
That's
Yeah,
right.
he's dope.
It's good. It's a good time. It's a good time.
Yeah,
That
he's
sounds like
he's
a
trying to
story
romance the
I've heard
queen.
before.
You
Oh,
might have-
Pull
everything
that
at
from
the
something?
base.
I did base it off of a book series. His first one's called like The Way of the Shadows.
Oh, no,
I really enjoyed the book series, and I was like, I really like the core concept of it. So I got some of the back because this is the first time I played D&D. So I was like, I'm gonna get like the basis of the story. There's like a lot more intricate stuff to my character's backstory or whatever. But I got the basis of it.
He doesn't even know
from
all his
that.
character's backstory.
I don't. I even purposely left some stuff open
That's one way to
just
do
to
it.
make it easier for Blue to like do whatever he wants. There's the dog.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the next
Dogs
thing.
on stream.
This is Omega. Omega, say hi to the internet. She has
Oh,
one
yeah.
blue eye. We just picked her
Omega,
up yesterday.
right? You got because
Omega.
it's named after
Omega. She's named
the
after
Kiwi
Omega
Mandalorian.
from. Yeah, I love her so much. She's
I did like that character.
She's a peach. She has one blue eye. Jack
Oh,
Russell
wow.
Terrier mix. We just picked her up yesterday. Yeah, and that's why I keep calling her the Sands dog, and that's her middle name is Sands. Omega Sands Herman.
I love it.
Yeah, my mom's like, "What do you mean take out the hermit?" I'm like, "No, not that kind of sense, mom." I'm like, "Oh my god,"
Ah,
because it. Yeah,
your
you get
mom's
it.
just reading. Like there's nothing.
Yeah, no,
Like she
she's just
just
being
knows
a
what
jerk.
words means.
But she's a good pupper. She's only 2 months old, and she's been so great so far. She's
do
actually really
do
obedient.
do those
What's up?
get like bigger? Like 'cause you said she's like a few months old. No.
She's not getting much bigger than this. Actually, I can
Oh, that's
adjust my
interesting.
camera a little bit so you guys can see her. Say
I love
hi.
her. I love her.
No, you can't eat that. You already messed up mama's headphones. All right, let me let her go. Yeah, like this morning that happened. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, I just finished an audiobook. Ugh, get out of here. Of this book, Boom, Ray Bear. It's super dope. Written by Jordan Ifueko, and it's about a young girl who is this is African based fantasy. It's about a young girl whose mother is a very mysterious woman called the Lady, and her father is actually like a it's kind of like a genie, like a jinn. He's a very mystical
Oh,
being,
gotcha.
and she's a product of them too. And basically, her mysterious mother kind of locks her up when she was younger and teaches her to be very smart and very like knowledgeable about the land, but she never goes anywhere until a certain point, and she says, "Okay, now you need to go to the main kingdom, and you're going to make this man fall in love with you, make this boy fall in love with you, and then you're gonna kill him."
Oh,
Come
word.
on, mama.
Son, I'm not gonna tell you nothing else, and how she compels her to try it or whatever. I'm not gonna tell you nothing else.
No,
But this
that's an
book
interesting setup.
is
Right.
amazing.
Mama said you bred for this. This is what you're here for, girl. Let's go. Let's
Okay,
go.
I'm telling you, it's on. You can get it on Kindle, Amazon. Um, and I actually hadn't gotten any audiobooks before, so I got the free, so I was able to just pick this up. But I actually bought the physical copy.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, guys, definitely check it out. It's a Nigerian author, and she's amazing. So anyway, that's
That's
all
what's up.
I got for right now.
I just
I
bought it.
tried
You
to.
sold it really
You
well.
just bought it? That's what's up. Yeah, no, honestly,
Oh
it's a dope
dang!
story.
Like
I've
that
actually
fast.
I got
I
I got
pulled
Google Play Books. I buy all my books on
Yeah,
there.
the
oh
stream
heck yeah.
blinked really quick.
Oh,
Apologies for that, but it's fine now.
okay. Everything good?
Oh, there's
Yeah, it should
a
be good now.
second book too. Oh, I'll buy that right now.
Redemptor just came out like
Bet.
last week, so I need to pick that book up too. The sequel. This is a good time to read the first one because the sequel just dropped. I heard that there's going to be a trilogy, but I'm not 100% sure.
All right, nice. Does that wrap
Yeah.
things up for you then, Blue?
Yeah, man. I feel like I hit a lot of different parts of my life just now. So y'all know what I've been up
Yeah,
to.
nice.
400.
That's nice.
Ooh, 400 pages. I like a lengthy book. A
Hey,
nice little
man. It didn't feel
lengthy
like it.
read.
It was great. It felt a lot like this book's amazing.
Yeah, for me, most of the games I've been playing have been for work. So like I haven't really tried anything new, and the thing I've been playing the most of right now, it is out already. Flynn, Son of Crimson.
Yeah, I saw
But I
that.
haven't written my review for that yet, so I don't necessarily want to like really talk about it just yet because I'm still kind of mulling over my thoughts and stuff. But what I will do is go over a bunch of TV that I've been checking out. I
Yeah.
finished Ted Lasso, season 1 and 2, like within like I want to say 2 weeks time. Like we went through all of that. We had to take a short break because we watched all of season 2 and then realized, oh, there's one more episode left, so we had to wait like
Oh yeah.
like 4 or 5 days to watch the final one.
To get over
And
the
like
depression.
we've been really liking Ted Lasso, but that final episode in season 2 I thought was kind of a misstep.
Oh no,
Like
that's
it
the
just
worst.
it's like the episode right before it kind of I wouldn't say like it's super interesting. Like it's like kind of a high in terms of like what's going on in the show. Like I won't spoil anything if you haven't watched it, but it's like there's a lot of emotions in the air at that
Yeah.
point. And then the next episode after, and a lot of shows do this, they kind of leave all of that aside and basically tell you a story about a specific character for an extended period of time. And it's like the whole episode is about this character who, to be fair, we haven't really gotten a ton of time with. But like what
Yeah.
they show is like this didn't need to be the
It
last
didn't
episode.
help.
Like you could have done
Yeah.
this somewhere else in the show to like kind of
They
flesh that
ended with the
character out. But
filler.
like something Right, exactly. Like something important happened
Ooh.
before the very last episode, and then you ignore that before
Oh
the season's done.
hell no!
So it's
Did you
like,
wait
That's
for a
rude.
week for that, or was that just
no, like
Oh,
I
that's
said,
right. You said it a couple days. Okay.
yeah, we watched pretty much all of it, and then realized there was one more episode that wasn't out for a couple more days.
That's
Man.
so
So like,
rude.
kind of a sour spot to end it on, but like it wasn't terrible in terms of like a episode, but it was terrible in terms of a finale episode. Is how I
That
felt.
happened to me on some anime before. Like I waited for a whole week, and the next episode was a filler, and it was the last of the season. I said, "Oh, so forget you too. I'm
No,
not
yeah,
watching
like
the
y'all,
big
that's
season."
just disrespectful.
Yeah.
Chat is
Apparently,
saying that the
audio's out of
audio
sync.
is out of
Yeah.
sync after the blink. So what I'll do is I'll just
Uh
click
oh.
on the
The whole
cameras
blip.
something and see if that does anything. I'll change my mic back and forth real quick too.
I
Hey,
did
what's
forget
up,
to
Darth?
mention as you're talking about shows, Blacklist. I started watching that. Blacklist is crazy.
What
It's
the heck?
kind of
What was
like,
Blacklist? I remember that name.
yeah,
Did it
hey,
have
what's
like
the
James Spader in it?
yes, that's exactly who the main character is. Well, he's like he's the face of it, but the main character is this woman that he's connected with. They don't even tell you
Don't
how
worry.
she's connected. That's the whole thing. He's connected with her somehow, but he's like the top. He's on one of FBI's most wanted lists. He's like the top five, one of the top five, and he just shows up to the FBI one day. He's like, "Hey, I'm Raymond Reddington, and I'm here to surrender, but I only talked to this agent." And she started the same day that he surrendered himself. And so they're trying to figure out what his connection is, but the whole thing is he's into the whole actual criminal network of the world. Anything that the FBI
Mm-hmm.
knows is like small fry to him. He's like, "Are you kidding me? Like I could stuff them out yesterday. These are the big guys you need to worry about. I'm gonna help you catch them, but you're gonna do it my way." It's a
So it's
really James
another
Spader does his thing.
because like this is a trope that TV does
Oh, it's tropey.
ad nauseum. It's like we're the cops or we're some authoritarian thing that has to catch criminals, and we're gonna get this outsider to help us do that. Like it's the plot of everything. And
Well, this
honestly,
is
like no matter how
more.
good it is, I still feel very tired of it as a trope.
It's not that, oh, we need to go get him. It's he's forcing us to use him.
But no, that's what I'm saying. It's the same thing. Like either they don't like to work with this guy, or the
Oh
guy is
yeah,
just so
reluctantly working with him.
awkward that the cops are put off by them. But eventually they get to learn, like, oh, this guy is useful, or this guy has another side to him, or
Oh
whatever the
yeah,
situation is.
yeah.
Like
It's definitely
it's
tropey with
so
some of the
overdone.
spy stuff, but I find it interesting with the villains that they come up with. I think they're chaotic. A lot of them are chaotic good, if you guys know alignments in D&D. But let me not go far
Mhm.
into this. This is your time right now. I'll just try to cover here.
No, no, no.
You got this.
That's a good pull because yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
show and thought about watching it until I was like, oh, the premise is this again. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't
Gotcha.
care as much anymore. But I also started another Apple TV show, Mythic Quest. Do you guys know what that is?
Wait.
I want to say I talked about it last time when Will was here because Will now works for Ubisoft. It's a Ubisoft original show that's on
Yeah,
Apple TV,
yeah.
and it's about
I
a
wanted to
fake
watch
game
that.
studio and a fake game. Written and starring by Rob McElhenney, who's like the lead on It's
Oh,
Always
from
Sunny.
Always Sunny. And
Yeah,
they got
so like that's his show.
what's his name in there?
Danny Pudi
From
from Community.
yes. What's his name in there? It starts with A, right?
Abed. Yes,
Abed.
Abed.
Yes.
Actually, we just got Apple
Ah.
TV for a year through T-Mobile, so I'm gonna have to watch that. I forgot
Wait,
that's
how'd
where
you
we're
get
streaming.
that? Because I got
Yeah,
T-Mobile.
talk to us.
I don't mind not paying Apple for
It
another
was,
year.
yeah, it was one of their offers, because they give you like free offers or whatever every now and
Mm.
again at
Yeah, I gotta go
T-Mobile.
check for that.
Actually, at
Everyone's
Sprint,
saying
but
that I'm
T-Mobile
now an
bought 'em,
Apple
so.
fan / shill because I started watching stuff on Apple TV. That's all it takes is like just watch 2 TV shows and that.
A. I did some
I
extra
still.
work, and the show that I was on is gonna be on Apple
Mm.
TV.
Oh really?
Yeah, I'll let y'all
But
know when it
I
comes
mean,
out.
they cast a wide net. These Apple folks.
They really do. Yeah.
Honeyman says I keep talking about it. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I liked Ted Lasso, and like I just wanted to talk about how it ended. And now I start Mythic Quest because as long as it's free, because we are using a free promo thing, like we're not paying them anything for it yet. I'm gonna watch as much as I can to get the most out of it, right? But outside of that, I started Titans again on HBO Max.
Ooh.
Jeff loves that show. Like
Yeah, he does.
like talks it up all the time. I watched, I want to say like the first 3 episodes a while ago, and then just kind of forgot that I was watching the show. And honestly, it's because it's kind of a slow start. But
Terrible
after,
start.
as soon as the show pays extra attention to Dick Grayson's character, like the first Robin, I start to get much more interested in it, and it becomes a much more interesting show because they like
'Cause-
playing with the dynamic of he does not like the time he spent as Batman's sidekick, and he has a lot of demons in regards to that relationship. And that's kind of interesting because I really like that character. Like Robin's probably like my favorite sidekick of any sidekick character.
Which Robin?
And
He
they
is
kind
like
of do him
the
justice.
sidekick though.
Yeah, I think I want to say he was like the first sidekick, like if I'm not mistaken.
Possibly.
But yeah, I like that character, and like they pay good attention to his character development in that show. Like I want to say a lot of the other characters kind of suffer, but the connection to Robin and the Robin story is still, it's still carrying it. Like they're basically carrying everybody else's dead weight because I think like the whole Raven plot line is kind of
Raven
like,
is terrible.
Yeah,
She's
like
less than boring.
I mean, the
She's
actress is
terrible.
fine, but yeah, like the plot line surrounding her
You're
just
nice.
is
You're trying to be nice.
yeah.
She is
Wow.
not.
Like I
fine.
want to like Beast Boy, but like they don't pay enough attention to him. Like
Exactly.
is the vibe
And
I
he chooses
get.
like one animal the whole damn time. I'm used to him like
Now, hold
switching
on.
from animal to animal.
I'm mad
to
at that
animal.
part. I'm mad at what you just said, Blue. That's true. He saved one animal. I watched all of season 1.
Well, I mean,
and
he
started season 2.
it's kind of an origin
where I'm
story
at.
for him and Raven, right?
Ugh.
No,
But
I'm
I
sorry, go
still
ahead, Ash.
think the Raven actress is terrible.
What? Why? I thought she was okay. I thought she was.
Yeah, I think she's fine. It's just
She
like the
reminds me
story that
of,
she's in is kind of not great.
I mean,
Old
but
girl
that story-
from Twilight. What's her name?
Bella. I
Yeah.
don't know her real name.
She got-
I just-
Yeah,
Is that-
that's the kind of energy I get.
Isn't that
from
Kristen
Raven.
Stewart?
Yes,
Yeah,
Kristen
Kristen
Stewart.
Stewart.
Yeah, just damn near faceless on a regular basis.
But I didn't mind her plot line. But so when it came to like the actual Teen Titans comic book wise, I don't know much about them per se.
Yeah,
from
me
the
neither.
from the TV show when I was a child, Teen Titans, I know plenty about. And I don't remember if I was close to like the series end back in the day, but I do remember I feel like it was close to the end of the series where it focused on Raven and more so into her dad and
Trigon.
trying to like defeat her father and all that stuff, and then you got to see White Raven and all this extra stuff, and it was lit.
Yeah.
And it was so when it started, I was like, oh, we're getting into Trigun already. Like I was surprised watching season 1. Like we're already here. We're already like that was like
Yeah,
one of the
because
biggest bads,
Trigon is supposed
period.
to be
Like,
a
we're
big
already here.
deal.
Right. I'm like we're
Yeah, and like
already,
they really
very-
did kind of squander that plot line, honestly. Yeah. So I didn't like that. And DJ was saying somebody's still on season 1. I did finish season 1. I'm at the beginning of season 2 now. And like I said, like as soon as it started to focus more on like the Robin stuff, it got better.
Yeah.
And now they're talking about like more because apparently there was like an original version of the Titans, and now Dick is bringing in these newer guys to become like the new Titans and stuff. And like all of that is a lot more interesting than it starts out with. So I'm well into it now, and I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
I do still think it's basically a CW show with an HBO budget.
Yeah.
But not even HBO budget, because some of the CG
It's
is
like
actually
the
pretty
low end HBO budget.
Yeah.
Like when HBO Max
Right.
was first getting started, or HBO Now was getting started. That's what it.
Ooh, wow.
That's the money.
One thing I will give it though is it has really good fight choreography. Like I've not
Yeah.
seen like a TV show that has this level of like writing and character development, which to me is like kind of mediocre. Like it's the characters I like more than anything else on the show. But the fight
Yeah.
choreography is like,
It's dope.
yo, this is like, put this in like a Jason Bourne movie and like it's right at home.
Yeah.
Like it works for me.
Yeah.
So I've been really enjoying that. But that's pretty much it for me. What the hell was our next topic? I forgot now.
I think we're still talking about
Oh.
you.
No. Hold on. Actually, how much time have we spent? 40 minutes? I mean, do you want to... It's up to you guys. Because Delis Villanueva, director of the upcoming Dune movie, had some choice words for Marvel movies. We can talk about that, or we can just get into the last topic.
I don't know if I have
Like,
too
did you guys
much
have like?
gripes about Marvel movies. I understand. Let's talk about it just real quick. Let's just touch
All
it.
right, so yeah, so if you don't know, just like Martin Scorsese before him, Dennis Villeneuve says that Marvel movies are all cut and paste. They kind of recycle the same like outline, and they've basically turned movie watchers into zombies. Essentially saying like, we keep going back and loving the exact same story over and over again, and it's kind of detrimental in a way to the movie going experience and to movies in general. And that's his opinion. Like, he is a director. He clearly loves film because he made a career out of it. Do you think there's any merit to his criticisms of that kind of Marvel formula? Because I critique a lot of the Marvel stuff on a show called The Marvelous Escape, and it is something that's brought up
Mhm.
often, like how there's a formula that Marvel likes to follow. Like, it's not unknown, but it's like we also don't care a lot of the time. Dennis apparently does. I mean, how do you guys feel?
Go ahead, film
Um.
major.
Now, dang, no pressure, right? I was
No
gonna keep
pressure.
this light. Um, I do see that. And I have to say with the Disney Plus shows, right? Because shows are where you can really expand um, on stories and make the movies a little bit meatier, right? Star Wars is a huge
Mhm.
example. We're not going to get into that, but um, so the movies are definitely, I think they're paper thin. Just kind of like what they're saying. There's no when you look at the plot from any movie from beginning to end, any Marvel movie, there's not a whole bunch of unexpectedness that happens. You kind of know what's going to happen somehow, some way. This person's going to end up being okay, or maybe one person will die, but everybody's going to be better for it. Like there's no the fun is the comedic lines and the explosions and the roller coaster ride. You're not there necessarily for plot, and I think the biggest thing with comic book subjects that is, and I hate it honestly, multiverses. When anything can actually be canon, it starts getting stupid, and they can really put out anything like I don't know a what if series. Like honestly, I was talking to my homeboy the other day, and I said, due to the introduction of the multiverse, that Modoc show on Hulu is technically canon,
And I think they said that.
and it's
Like, they
stupid.
they have stated that.
It's stupid. Like all these and any kind of fan art about Marvel characters doing dumb stuff could technically be canon. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And the time travel, they've opened the door to all kinds of I can do anything I want to laziness and put an official
I find it
seal
funny
on
that
it.
you call that laziness, though, because to a person who like has to make content,
Hmm.
like, to have the freedom to do literally anything with characters is kind of freeing. Like, you can go and do something that a character should never do and tell a really different out there story, whereas the constraints of the rules and the story that has come before would actually be a lot easier to kind of trap you into falling into tropes and to following into stuff that has come before it, to kind of stay true to that character. Like, this is kind of a license
But
to do
there's no
whatever, and I get
risk.
how well, yeah, I get how that waters down, like, the overall structure of that character story. But the What If series, for example, does serve as kind of one-off stories. Like, these are characters that you know and
Hypothetical
love. Yeah,
exploration.
so like it and it kind of works on both angles in terms from a creative side and from like a corporate side, because like Wolverine sells, so let's do a story about Wolverine, but let's not make it another Wolverine origin story. Let's make it Wolverine is a fisherman or something, and he has a long discussion with his son about chicken nuggets. I don't know. This is just coming out of the top of my
Chicken
head, and it
nuggets.
can
Canon.
and it can work because it's on a multiverse timeline and anything's possible. But if that story
And the
is
that
amazing, it's still an amazing story starring Wolverine, as opposed to a terrible story starring a bunch of Marvel zombies.
um Marvel zombies. Yeah, man. I just like I mean you acknowledged before. I feel like the introduction of time travel in the multiverse waters down any story that they put out now. There's no risk. They can literally do anything. And while that sounds freeing, I think I guess as a filmmaker myself, I can right now I can make any story I want, right? Because I can. They have a lot of
Yeah, it's not
popularity
tied to
behind
any
it.
existing
It's not tied
thing.
to nothing, right? They're tied to a super loyal fan base, and they said, you know what? Let's do whatever we want. It sounds like they just open up our legs and go into town. Real talk. Because no, because they really
What?
they don't have any responsibility at this point.
What?
They don't have any responsibility at this point to put out any good stories because it can all just be a different take. It can all just be a what if. I really do not like multiverses and time travel.
No, I get why, but like you don't like there's no room for it to basically work as like a meta example of storytelling. Like yes, it hurts, the singular plot, like the singular timeline plot, but it opens up the door for just storytelling in general. Like it frees those characters from their linear path. Like Jesse and I had a conversation about how he dislikes a lot of mainstream heroes, specifically Batman, for different reason than you do, because I know you also hate Batman Blue.
Yeah, thank you.
But he basically dislikes it because the story doesn't change. Like it's always
It
the
never
same, and the reason is because Batman is so popular, his story does not have an ending. Like, what is the end of Batman? There are like a billion stories where Batman dies or like quits or whatever, but because that character is so popular and a franchise has to keep going, they just start it over again, and then you get Batman's origin, which everyone knows at this point, and then you get a bunch of Batman stories, but you don't know how Batman ends. And it's the same for like kind of any other super popular comic book character. Like, and that's what makes those characters feel unsatisfying to someone who is super invested in storytelling versus super invested in a character. So like if you cared about a character, Blue, I think you would not care as much if they were free to just keep giving you more stories with that character. Like that's the argument I guess I'm making.
Honestly, like my favorite character, and I have a couple favorite characters in the Marvel universe. One of them being War Machine, right? I haven't seen a whole bunch of stuff, but if I see him doing just I don't know, I don't want to see him off this path. I want to see more of him, and that might just be an exposure thing, right? I want to see more of what he can do. But I think that I don't want to see him in different facets because I want the one that I like. I want the War Machine that I've fallen to like to be good. Does that make sense? I don't want a bunch of choices. I want the one that I'm looking. I don't know. Maybe it's just a traditionalist thing, but I mean,
because imagine like how they're doing the Star Wars Visions thing, right?
Yeah.
What if it's similar to that? This is a new thing that's outside of any of that. They just introduce a War Machine show, and it's not Don Cheadle's War Machine in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's not tied to anything else.
Yeah.
It's its own story. Like, you're gonna watch that?
If it's its own story, it's not tied to the MCU.
Yeah, not tied
That
to
just
nothing
sounds
else.
weird. But yeah, I'll check it out.
After you checked it out, you like it. Now it's tied to the Marvel
Okay.
Cinematic Universe. Does that
Now
cheapen
it's
it?
tied.
Now it's
That's
tied.
yes.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
it's tied.
No,
Does that cheapen it
does
after the fact?
cheapen it. Yes, it does.
Okay, fair enough.
It definitely does. Yeah.
Quick side note: Terrence Howard or Don Cheadle Warhammer? Which one do you?
War Machine. I'm not gonna lie. I've grown to love Don Cheadle's War Machine, but I think Terrence Howard could have done an amazing job as well, if he wasn't such a jerk.
No, I honestly feel like Terrence Howard was miscast in the first place. So the fact that he didn't want to come back actually helped the MCU because like Terrence Howard doesn't really fit in that universe. I feel like
I think he
I like
could
Terrence
have.
Howard.
Like that man. Can you imagine just a whole bunch of like rockets coming out of the back of this dude and he's talking about get out here, man? You know, like
I love it. I need it.
Tony.
That's the what if that I need. That's the what if episode I want. Terrence Howard. They'll be like, wait, but it's still the same War Machine technically.
All right,
Like,
I'll-
I need to voice acted by Terrence Howard. That's the what if.
Oh my gosh.
What if Terrence Howard stayed in the MCU? That's the what if episode.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I guess
I
I
don't know
had
if
more
we
to talk
actually
about this than I thought.
yeah. To be honest, I don't
Film
think we
major.
really even dove into the whole thing that Dennis actually said.
I got
I'm just mad about multiverses.
I got a quick thing to say for what Dennis said.
Go ahead, Ash.
I get both sides because it's like on one end they found a formula. People want to keep watching that. Like even though I know the formula is there,
Yeah.
I still want to watch because I'm like invested into this this universe now. I'm just invested.
Unfortunately, me too. Yeah.
So it's like I'm gonna watch it. I'm stuck. I do, yeah, and I agree with Blue's like, yeah, the whole multiverse thing and and open that up too. I do like when it comes to, even if it's like how Dennis said, he said like cut and paste or whatever was the words he's described it. Even with it being cut and paste, I still like where they do pay attention to detail and how they do make everything like come back together and connect. So which is weird because like especially what we were saying, Blue, was like they did all this work to try to make things connect and like details and little Easter eggs all the way up just to make everything now open versus
Disconnected.
all this like very hard work into making it connected up to this point, which is kind of funny. But I guess that's how they're trying to not be cut and paste too. I don't know. That's why I'm like, I don't know, because technically it's like this whole time has been since all the way back to the Incredible Hulk in the first Iron Man movie. It's like they've been building up to basically where we are now, and then they're like,
that doesn't matter.
It does. But on the other end, though,
well, it's not so simple as it doesn't matter.
Here's
literally none of that stuff matters.
That's super reductive. That's not true. All that stuff does matter.
As long as you get to is if you're cool with one multiverse, right? If I love the MODOK show, none of those other movies matter because they're not in that same multiverse.
He's like, I want my movies in this verse now. Thank you.
I'm just saying, like, but none of those really matter. If I could be a super fan of Marvel, the MCU, and that's the MCU that I'm in.
Well, I don't know if matter is the right word then to convey that. Like, it's not that it doesn't matter; it's that it's not connected. Yeah, like they don't cross over.
So what?
But the multiverse says that they can cross over. Like, despite the fact that they're not actually connected to the same giant story, like this is kind of an offshoot. The multiverse says, you know what? If we really tried, if we really needed it to, these could actually be connected to each other. Like that's all that is. And
if
yes,
I'm a super fan
crutch
of MODOK,
it's a cheat.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Because if I'm a super fan of MODOK, the Avengers Endgame might as well be Justice League. It might as well. The possibility.
But you're not going to sit here and tell me. You're not going to sit here and tell me that Avengers versus Justice League is not a movie you would go watch.
Oh my gosh, that sounds terrible.
But you're going to watch it.
I'm going to watch it for FOMO. I'm going to watch it for FOMO, 100%. But that sounds terrible. Oh my gosh, that sounds just like the video game. Was it Mortal Kombat versus DC?
DC versus Mortal Kombat, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like that.
Yeah, that game was great. Let me say, technically,
anyway.
If they connect, they're no longer parallel universes, though.
So then they don't. So
they
yeah, there we go.
The timeline, and then your situation has resolved itself, Blue. There you
But
go.
they don't connect.
Close the loop.
The sacred timeline.
The sacred.
Honey Money in
I
chat
did really
says,
like
this
that.
makes me think of, I don't like change. Where's that from?
I like growth. And I don't like. Anyway, we don't have to keep going to this. You guys know.
Yeah, well,
I think I'm certain.
we'll close the door on that. Like, I honestly, I personally think Denis Villeneuve makes sense. Like, what he's saying isn't like heresy. Like, Marvel does have a formula. They do copy and paste a lot of elements, but I still think they pay enough attention, like Ash said, to the details for each character to make those stories kind of unique, even if it is kind of a similar, kind of beat for beat heroes story, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, people have been writing a hero's journey in one way or another for like thousands of years. So
it's
come on,
definitely
it's not
difficult to come up with 100% original story. Yeah, no, I'm never gonna hold somebody to that, especially as far as time goes on. You can't make 100% original story, but you can mix and match elements.
Like when Dune does come out, if the hero's journey is representative in that, then I don't know what the hell Dennis. I don't know why he got beef with Marvel. There's a good chance that it is. I've never seen Dune, but I'm willing to bet that it hits those beats. But anyhow, So let's move on to our final topic.
Yeah.
I wrote an article for Escapist Magazine called "The Way My Kid Plays Video Games Pisses Me Off." That's the title. A lot of folks were brought in by that title, read the article, and proceeded to get very upset. Like they got the sense that I was controlling, that I was somewhat being a bully. There were some calls of toxic masculinity. And just in general, like a lot of people, not all the people who read it, because I also got some people who basically related to the story, who were parents and like uncles and aunts and stuff like that. But a lot of people felt that it was an unhealthy way to police my child's fun time. Like video games are supposed to be a safe space where he's able to kind of express himself creatively and kind of have fun and relieve stress from like the regular world and any other obligations he may have as an 8-year-old. And I was basically encroaching on that and souring his experience to a degree that would maybe lead to resentment therapy, just all sorts of bad things. And so that was kind of the message that was coming in from a certain sector of the internet. The story itself got retweeted by a lot of gaming press, as well as other like influencers and like Twitter folks and whatnot. Some of those I saw, some I didn't see, and people were telling me about, kind of echoing that sentiment, like kind of the negative take on it. Real quick, I want to shout out my boss, Nick J. Cow. He immediately jumped in to the mentions and the replies to a lot of people he saw who were like being straight up negative and basically told them how he felt, which was like, there's nothing wrong with the article. Like you're basically putting a bunch of your own thoughts and projections into it and whatnot. Like don't come from my writers, et cetera, et cetera. So I really appreciate Nick for like going that extra mile. Like that's a lot of stress and anxiety that it puts on him having to moderate that stuff. As a result, he's actually decided he's not going to use Twitter for any personal stuff anymore. He's only going to use it to like advertise, like site stuff and whatnot. And he'll be kind of just taking a break and stepping back because it really can be a lot.
Yeah.
But my response to it was to kind of watch as a lot of that was happening. And then to reach out to anyone who I saw who either had a take that wasn't blatantly disrespectful and was involved in games media and not just kind of some random individual who I didn't know or someone who I did know, even if they had like a super negative take, but someone I actually knew because I followed them in media before. So I reached out to all those people, said, hey, if there was something wrong in the article that I'm not seeing, I'd love to talk about it. Invited them to this show. This was like 3 days ago, like the day after everything went to shit. And did not get a response from any of those folks. Like I mentioned earlier, someone who was very vocal in the negative column did respond. Person I tagged, I want to say his name was Aaron Green. I don't want to mess his name up. Adam Greeny.
Hey, Aaron. Oh. Aaron.
Yeah, Adam Greeny did respond and basically said that he had a night to think it over and essentially kind of came to understand what I was getting at in the piece and really didn't feel as negatively as he did initially. And so he basically was kind of off the hate train, so to speak. So like in that sense, I would have liked him to still join the show. He did not. But in that sense, he kind of didn't really have an argument anymore, I want to say. Like there was nothing he was going to come and debate because he kind of came over to the other side. There was another tweet that I saw that was in a similar vein. So my suspicion is that maybe some of those other folks maybe also had some time to think it over and don't feel as strongly about it. Either that or they just don't care anymore, in which case, they're not here to really defend themselves. And I don't necessarily want to like throw them under the bus at all because they feel what they feel. But I very much feel the opposite, which is why I wrote the thing and why it was published as is, because I didn't really see any of the stuff that they were coming at. But I did listen to some criticism in some other places, like not on Twitter, that I think is valid and can probably bring up at some point. But you guys both read it, I'm assuming. Blue, you don't have kids. Ash, you do have kids. I'm really interested in like how it came off to you guys. It's a little difficult because you guys know me. And like a lot of the escapist community kind of knows me because they may have seen me with my son or seen me on stream. So like they kind of got the tone immediately. And if you didn't, maybe that's part of the reason why it came off kind of strange, I guess we'll say, to some other folks. But for you guys, like, what was your take?
You want to start, Ash?
Yeah, I can start. All right. So, because I remember when I was in Discord and that you guys were talking about, I was like, oh, what article could Casey possibly write that would get so much of an uproar? I was already just like, what could come out of Casey's mouth
terrible
in regards to gaming? But so I immediately saw the name of the title. I laughed when I saw the name of it. Okay, and I'll go into a little bit of my own like personal stuff with my own kids too in a minute. But excuse me. So I read through it. What I took from it was that, and the part that I can relate to was that you have an immense passion for gaming. Obvious people who come to these streams know you love gaming. I love gaming. Everybody here who shows up loves gaming, right? And when you really like something, when it comes to things like with your friends, you usually want your friends to like you'll be like, oh, this is cool. My friends will definitely like this because usually you're around people that you're at least like have some commonalities with. So be like, oh yeah, my friends love this. For a quick example, I love the anime Hunter x Hunter. I showed it to Darian because I'm like, oh, me and Darian, basically the same person. Kiba for Blue. We're basically the same person. This is my favorite anime. He's gonna love it. He liked it, but he didn't like it nearly as much as I did. And for someone who like loves the character development, the art style, the pacing, all that stuff, to me is like so confusing almost to like why he doesn't feel the same way about something that I care about this much. So that's on one end, just for even if you don't have kids, that part will already get you. Now to the extra level, if you're a gamer dad and you have kids, and it doesn't matter if they're a boy or a girl, you want your kids to play video games. Okay. Especially for me as a kid, my dad is from the Middle East. If people didn't notice that from before when I mentioned it in the previous podcast with Casey, with Sigma. My dad is 60 now. So games were just like literally like a new thing. Video games were a new thing as he was already becoming an adult. And he was in a country where they didn't have money for video games. Okay. So my dad has no experience, but my dad would still try to play video games with me growing up. He took that time because I was the only child to like try to sit down with me, play a game. He sucked horribly, never was going to beat me in anything. He didn't try to. He just wanted to do something with me that I really like to do. So he sat there and played video games with me. Now for me, as being this much gamer, I wanted my kids to play video games. I was going to be so much fun to play video games with my kids. I'm going to show them everything that I played growing up. We're going to play the old games, the new games, all this stuff. It's going to be great. That expectation was something I put on my kids before I even got married, before I was dating my current wife. I already had expectations on my kids, which isn't necessarily the best thing, to be fair. But I had expectations of because it can be bad.
That's
like,
human.
I mean, that's natural.
I'm just saying, like, it's not the best thing, but it's just me saying, like, it's like you're already putting so much, like, oh, you're going to do this because, like, what if like, my kid comes out and he just, like, really isn't about video games. And I just put all that there. Now it's all gone. You know what I'm saying? So that could be bad. But it's something you got to be prepared for, is all I'm saying. So my son Kai, before he could walk, would crawl to my PS4 controller and the TV that he broke eventually when he started trying to learn how to walk. He held on to it. He used it to balance because it used to be on the floor in my office before I got a desk and stuff. Because we had just moved into here where I'm at now. But he would crawl into the room, pick up the PS4 and just like move around on the menu because he was basically trying to, I guess, do what he saw me doing. Right. And then when he did start to walk, he would bring me the PS4 controller or the Switch so I could sit down and he could watch me play something. Like, he just knew I didn't matter what game, but he wanted to watch me play a game because he just liked watching them. They look good. And I'm like, the boy can't talk yet, but he wants to watch me play video games. I'm getting more excited at that point where I'm like, oh, yes, this is going to be great. I'm going to beat him in everything. I don't care. Mario Kart, destroying him. Smash. I didn't even play Smash back then. I wasn't good, but I knew I was going to beat a 4-year-old, so I'm going to destroy him.
Right, yeah. I mean, I take that
pray.
Right. So I was like, yeah, we're going to have so much fun. that's when I found out that my son was autistic. He doesn't obviously that's a spectrum. So there's like some things like for people with autism they can still be really good at, but then somewhere else they won't be in ways that autism can affect someone. For my son, that'd be with like social communication, being able to like discern like your feelings based off of your face and how you're acting. He's not really getting that, and mostly works on like an impulse. Which I mean most kids do, but it's like an elevated version of that basically.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. So when he started playing games, and even though he wasn't talking yet, I still thought, oh, maybe he's just late to it. And I try to like guide him to do something, but he always just kind of went to do his own whatever he was trying to do, even though he had no idea what he was trying to do. He didn't know how to play the game or anything. He just tried trying to figure stuff out. When I did find out he was autistic, and he did start to like start learning what I was saying and understanding like simple instructions. So if I said lay down, he knows to go to his bed and lay down, time to go to sleep. If I say juice, he's like, he knows I'm offering him if he wants juice, like simple stuff he can follow. But now it's really hard for me if I try to teach him how to play a game. It's borderline impossible. Like he doesn't understand what I'm trying to tell him to do. It's not going to work. Yeah. So I just try to show, basically I've gotten to the point where I just show him something that he's able to do, and then he can decide if he wants to try to do what I just did. That's like the easiest way I can do it, just so he can have something new to do in a game instead of just walk around in a circle and kill mobs all day. Try to give him something else to do. Right. But it would make me upset because I would show him something, because there's obviously it's like Breath of the Wild. He loves Legend of Zelda. Breath of the Wild is such a big world of a game, especially to a 4-year-old. So I'm like, there's so much more you could do, and I'll show him something, and he'll immediately, like when I get back to him, he doesn't try to continue where I just put him at. He'll leave and go right back where he just was. And for me, if I were to say that wasn't upsetting, or I don't know what's the best word to use, but it made me go like
it affects you.
He's not getting it.
Like,
right. And I'm just like, man, I really want him to get this, because this is like another aspect that he's missing out, because it's really good. But he doesn't want to do that part. He just wants to go and do what he was doing. So for me to say like it didn't make me feel some type of way when I like try to show him other games, somebody's just like not into it, would be wrong, because one, Legend of Zelda is like one of my favorite series, period, and I love gaming. So especially for that one, it's hard. But also since he's autistic and I can't, I'm like, you know what? At that point, it became to the point where it's like, I'm just happy that he at least likes video games at this point, because I don't know what he could have been into. So I'm like, I get where you were coming from, especially because he was just like, I just want him to enjoy like the things that I found good. And I think that goes right to outside of gaming. When you're growing up, you're like, oh, I used to love playing catch with my dad. I want my son to feel what I felt during that. And
and then you go like and you try to play catch, and your kid like, goes, I don't want to play catch. Like, you're gonna feel a kind of way about that, because that's something that was important to you, that you wanted to share with someone you loved, and they rejected it.
Right. And so that's how I feel. Like, to them, they're not rejecting. It's like, oh no, it's just not something I want to do. But to you, it will feel like they're rejecting it. And that's completely, like, that's a fair feeling to have. It took a lot for me, especially for Kai, because, like I said, I had super high expectations. I'm going to be playing everything. We're going to have so much fun. But now I have to accept basically that he might never want that level of play. Not even just because he wants it or not, but he might not ever understand that level of play. And that really sucks for me sometimes, like, to think about. So, and it sucks because I know for a fact, Casey, too, for people, even someone's heard my story, they might go and say, oh, wow, you're over here complaining that your son might not be able to play games when, XYZ is like, there's always somebody who's not going to like your story or what you're saying anyway, to be fair.
Yeah, because and this is part of the problem with the way people react to just an article. Like, it's a snapshot. This is an anecdote. This isn't the entirety of my son's story or our relationship. Right. This is one thing that happened in the grander scheme of a father and a son relationship. It doesn't define it. Yeah. I just thought it was interesting and funny, which is why I chose to write about it.
I will also say too, when people because my favorite part for you, right? when I did read that, I did understand was when it was like you tried to show take him on a higher difficulty in Spider-Man Miles Morales, I think, right? You said it was Miles Morales specifically. So you took it to higher difficulties, like
from the lowest difficulty to the next one up, which changes nothing other than the fact that Miles can now die. The lowest difficulty makes him invincible. He will never die. The next one up, the difficulty stays the same. It's just now he can die.
So you have to actually like be a little careful. You have to like actually be a little cautious with your HP. So you took him up to that, and he's like, and you're like, yeah, see, that's kind of like part of the fun of it, that you can succeed, and since there's actually a chance of loss, it feels a little bit better to win, which, to be fair, can be applied to anything. I think that's a fair thing to think, and then it's for a bigger group of people, where it's like a very toned down version of people who like Dark Souls, for example. People who like the super hard. I don't like them because I don't want to get frustrated all day.
That's Sig's bread and butter right there.
I don't want to get frustrated all day. I like trying them. I think they can be fun because it does feel good when, if I've been trying something and I do overcome, like, yes, I did it. Screw you. I'm better. That's how I feel when I get stuck at a boss, even in a game that's not meant to be like a Dark Souls game. I'm like, yeah, screw you. I went and grinded. I learned your the way the boss reacts to stuff. I know what you do. I studied you, and now I'm better than you. Get out my face. So I get it. I get that part too. And he has and he said like he agreed. And also, I know a lot of people in the comments were like, when you said you raised your voice, why did you do that? I feel like they also took that as like, why did you do that? I was like, I doubt he did that. He's probably more like, why did you do that? Like just like a more of a like shock, like what is going on type of raise your voice. Because
I want to address that point too, because a lot of people wanted to hearken on that aspect, like, oh, you yelled at your child for something he did in the video game. That's disgusting. One, yes, I yell at my child. In this instance in the story, I was not yelling at him for deleting a file. I was yelling because I was surprised that he deleted a file. Like,
it was more like you were just
shocked. Watched him get as far as he did. Like, I watched most of the gameplay for him to get as far as he did, and then to walk in the room and see him delete that was a shock. I was like, why did you do that? It was surprise. That's why I raised my voice, because I was in shock. Like, what just happened? But outside of video games, yes, I yell at my child. Are you kidding me? He's a child. I'm his parent. If he does something that to me seems dangerous or ill-advised, like if he's being a jerk in some way, like if he's, being mean to somebody else, this is the thing he's actually done. He's like stuck his middle finger up at people because he learned it from some other kid at school. Yes, I yelled at my kid because in hindsight it's funny, but in the moment it's not funny. You yell at your kid, that's your reaction because you need to correct that behavior. Is there a better way to do that? Sure. Like if you really want to, have a hindsight is 2020 type, live a hindsight 2020 type life. Like if you're an absolute perfect human being, sure, you would never need to raise your voice at your child, and somehow your child would never do anything wrong as a result. But we've all seen Super Nanny, right? Like those shows exist. There are like god awful children in the world, and I bet you a lot of those kids don't get yelled at. I don't care how you feel about yelling at kids. Like there's a mean and awful way to do it, and then there's just a parent who yells at their kid because I'm sorry.
There's definitely a balance to it. Like
right. Like I'm not gonna sit here and say that
parents, only escalate it when based on what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like
there's a way to talk to your kids, and that's something that I'm cognizant of because I never necessarily liked the way my dad talked to me. Like my dad could never really hold a conversation with me as I was growing up. Like if he was addressing me, it was usually because he was yelling at me for something that I did wrong, right? So that's something I internalized and something that I absolutely do not do with my son. Like when I talk to Adam, I explain everything that's happening because I want him to understand why I'm upset with him, why I'm angry at him. Even if I'm yelling because, the situation is bad, I'm yelling and explaining why the situation is bad. So if you feel some kind of way about that, sorry, but like that's not gonna change. That's honestly all I'll say about that situation, because I thought that was actually kind of ridiculous. Like, you don't have kids if that was your argument. That's how I feel. But Blue, I'm sorry, like you didn't really get a chance to like go into kind of like your thoughts.
Yeah, I was kind of waiting for Ash to wrap up his.
My last statement. Sorry, I'll
no,
wrap it up right now too. Is basically that I get I understand both sides. Mostly, I definitely lean and it's because I know you too. I will say, because I do know you, that I do think that that does make a difference in how I read it. But I can see how for some people went overboard. That's first. Some people definitely are on a whole different level. You're not a bad father for anything that you wrote in this art. Even if I read it in the way that I didn't know you, I didn't see it as like, no, he's not a bad dad. I can see how some people they thought, like, hey, potentially he might because of how he wants to play games right now, because he could change how he wants to play video games in the future, regardless.
He's
of
still young,
just be like, he's like, oh, whatever. I just want to swing around. Like, I get it, especially in the latest Spider-Man, it's the swinging mechanics. But you just wanted to show him that there was more potentially available, and you were shocked that he didn't want it. I get that part. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, like the way he rejected it was a legitimate shock. I was like,
oh, that was definitely weird. I don't know why he deleted the save file, but but I do see why for people who read, they're just like they might have felt like in a comparison, my dad would watch me when I did homework, not because my dad didn't trust that I was doing it right, or even that my dad could help me. Again, my dad was from the Middle East. He didn't have too much of an education. He didn't understand too much for my homework, but he would sit there when I did homework, not necessarily like over my shoulder per se, but he'd be in a room and he's like, if you need my help, ask me. Even if he doesn't, he more than likely doesn't know how to help me, but he sat there to make sure that he was available, and to make sure that the homework got done. Even if I wasn't skipping assignments, but he wanted to make sure, because his main thing was, I want to make sure that you finish your education. That's all he wanted, right? Now, I will say, as a child, that felt super overbearing. Like, it felt like way too much, especially as I started to get older too. I was just like, I don't need you here in this room with me to do this. Like, it just felt like too much. And I feel like potentially, especially for the people who were like taken to the next level, they might experience something like that plus some more or whatever. So they kind of projected it into your situation. Excuse me.
Yeah, church girl in the chat basically like finishing the story for you says, and you hated him for that then.
I did. I actually really did not like my dad because of some of the ways he was, and to me, very overbearing. As an adult, I understand that he really just wanted what was best for me, and to try to like express different avenues in which I could like go through life because of that for education. Like, when I got older, I didn't know my dad when he was like, what do you want to do? And I didn't know. He was like, why don't you do something with video games? Like, he wasn't like a parent's like, oh, you can't do that, it's not professional. He was like, you like it, right? You do that, do something with that. But at the time though, it was a lot. Now, obviously, like you said, people read art. I don't know how you interact with your son every day. I can make guesses by how much I know you, how you do. When the times when I have seen you and your son interacting like on stream and everything, I wouldn't know technically. Just even for people who took it to a whole different level, you don't know. So going the extra mile is a little bit much. But I do understand why some people would be like worried if they read your art, like, hey, you might want to take some steps back because XYZ. So I get why people felt that way if they read it not knowing you. Knowing you, it's like I'm assuming that you don't like just hang over your son like, just don't know how to play video games. Look at you just every single day just watching him. just like maybe internally you might be like, oh, here he goes just running around a circle again today. Let me just walk out of here before I get triggered. Because I do that. I believe myself like I can't watch him play Breath of the Wild for too long. I will get bored. He's literally to me not doing anything, but he's enjoying himself. So I just leave and let him enjoy himself. But to be honest, I don't like. I couldn't watch it. If I saw a streamer doing it, I'd be like, why are we in here? Why are we wasting our time? Like, to be fair, if it wasn't my child, it was an older person. I'm like, what are you doing?
No,
This is
and
dumb.
yeah, and that's fair because yeah, like someone enjoying a video game isn't necessarily entertainment fodder for other people, right? So
Right.
like
But
that's
as
just
long as
them
they're
doing that.
enjoying themselves, it's like, hey, he's enjoying himself silently. So I get why people, who, and I'm sure the ones that you were like referring to, you're probably like, oh, I see what they're saying. Okay, yeah, they're not just coming from a place of being like extra or projecting themselves into the situation. I see what they mean, whatever. Well, not whatever, but carrying on. Um, but yeah, so I get both sides of what's going on. I don't know for people who went extra, that's too much. But yeah, I get it on both ends a little
No,
bit,
understood.
just because of my stuff.
So
That's
how
all.
about you,
Go
Blue?
Blue.
He said that's all.
That's all. My
that's
dissertation
all.
is finished. My essay is written. Here you go, Blue.
Okay, so Sig, we've actually had this conversation. Well, we touched on some of the things that you talked about in the article even before you wrote this. And so when I first heard that you wrote it, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold
is
on
probably that
one second, Blue, because
Oh man,
it's like everything
Stream
just
you used
froze.
all the
yeah,
bandwidth,
everything
Ash.
twitched a little bit
I did.
again.
I'm sorry. I just said.
Let me see if I can fix this because the cameras have disappeared for some
Dang,
reason.
Lampy, chill.
Right, dang, Lampy. Chill.
Sorry about that. I don't. This is the PSU thing that folks were asking me about. Hopefully that solves this problem.
Wait, what PUC do you have? Like, how much wattage is it rated for?
Yeah, those are the questions that need answering that I don't have yet.
Oh my god.
But
KC.
we should be back on now. So Blue, go ahead and
Okay.
continue your take. My apologies for the interruption.
No
He said you
sweat.
should apologize for that article, Casey. Tell him, Blue.
So
Sorry, I'm done.
shoot, where was okay? So Sig, yeah, we had a little conversation about this before. Like you kind of mentioned it before about the Roblox stuff, and I laughed and whatever. And then when the article came out, I was like, oh, it's probably just what he's talking about. And then me and the wife sat down and read it, and at 100% honesty, I was triggered. I definitely saw myself in Adam 100%. My dad and I had a very bad relationship with video games, and it looked, and probably more than, or not probably, but more than what you're doing, my dad has done. As far as sanctioning video games, how much, not necessarily how long I play, but like what I play, and how I play it. Not necessarily maturity wise, but how I play it, right? And he's probably taken it to a much more extreme level than you, and not just in video games, but in other aspects of my life. So I felt frustration reading this, not necessarily towards you, but frustration
No,
towards the
yeah.
situation. You know what I mean? And it hurt. And I know a lot of people have kind of seen themselves in Adam as well in this article. And again, without knowing the context of an anecdote or a light-hearted, like, hey, this is kind of funny that it happened, this felt like a brutal article, without knowing that context, and it just, yeah, I understand, I'm not a father. I want to be, but I'm not a father. And
You got a fur baby now.
I do have a fur baby now. So I
Same thing.
can't 100% say, hey, I understand where you guys are coming from. I could imagine, there are many different ways to discipline a child. There's many different ways to raise them properly. But looking back in hindsight and talking to my dad, even recently, we've talked about the crazy, well, I'm not gonna say crazy, but the unhealthy things that he's done. And we say, he's told me recently, hey, I want you to raise your children not how I did it, but with the same values. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I follow that completely.
So then reading this, it felt like for me, it was those old values up in 2021, and that hurt. So that's how that your article hit me, unfortunately. But again, I understand where this was coming from. I understand why you wrote it, and I understand this is more meant to be a funny observation than it's definitely not a parenting guide, right?
It's like I didn't come here to write a parenting guide,
Yeah,
which is fair.
yeah.
Yeah, like,
Um,
and I'm sorry. Go ahead, Blue. Continue.
no, and basically, um, that's yeah, and going with the filthy casual, I thought it was pretty funny only because of course some people took to the extreme, called it a slur. I know that it's an internet
A
term.
slur.
Yeah, I know it's an internet term, and at the end of the day, that was, I feel like if I didn't know you again, that would probably be the nail in the coffin for me, um because if I know, I think if I looked back and if my dad had said some things like that without me really, and I'm reading it without me knowing where his head was at, that would feel terrible. And I'm always an advocate for games. We have a difference in games that we like too. Like, you don't think Animal Crossing is a
Mhm.
game. I love it. And I think it
KC.
is a game. You know what I mean? And I feel
I don't
like
think it's a fun game for
you told
me.
me before that you don't think it's a game.
Probably,
He's
You've said
corrected
this
his
on
statement.
stream.
He's
But that's
corrected
what
his
I'm
Probably.
saying
statement.
though, because
but
but
it's for
that's
like. But
exactly
I've
the
always no,
mentality though.
I've always stated that it's not for me. Like, I
Yeah,
don't like it.
but
That's
and
my
you've also said
criticism
it's
of it,
not
is
a
that
game.
I don't like it.
You've
He
said
said,
on
"You
What's
need
the
stream
to
fine?
admit
What's the fine?
this."
We won't go back into that. We won't go back into that whole story.
because no, because but that's kind of important because you mentioned how he was playing in Roblox and he's just standing around with his friends, and I'm like, that's
Well, no, see, hold on one second. Where does it
okay, no
say
problem.
he was playing with friends? Like that?
Or
That's a
he's just
thing
standing
that was
around. Excuse
projected.
me.
Yeah,
I
like
mean, in Animal
that was a
Crossing, you're
thing
not
that not
always with your
just
friends.
you. Yeah, that
I'm
was a thing
sorry.
that not just you threw onto the thing. Like, they were saying, oh, he's in Roblox hanging with friends, and you banished Roblox. That's not in the article.
Okay, I'll take that back. I didn't mean with friends, but the fact that he's just standing around chilling in Roblox, excuse me,
Mhm.
was a frustrating point for you. And I know that there are some games that are like that, and people enjoy them. So it felt like just a stab at something that he liked, and a lot of other people like. Yeah, a lot of the people like. So again, I know where you're coming from. I feel like I know where you're coming from. I feel like I
Mhm.
understand your perspective, and I know that this isn't, again, this isn't your autobiography about your relationship with your son. This is a
Right.
funny observation. Um, but yeah, I do say that it didn't feel good initially. I had to sit back and remember your context.
No, and that is absolutely fair, because, like I mentioned, I did bring this article to some other folks on different social media platforms, who gave me, like, honest to God criticism on maybe why this got the response it did. Similar to
Yeah,
what you said, Blue. The thing that I never saw coming was that folks reading this would identify with my 8-year-old son. Like, I understand that there are people who aren't parents yet, but
yeah,
I wrongly assumed that most people, most adults, would at least have the feeling that there's something they're passionate about, and that's something that they would want to share with someone that they love, right? This, to me, was a story about attempting to do that, and basically getting the wake up call that that doesn't always work, and you have to let
yeah.
people do things the way they want to do. Like, that is the ultimate lesson of the story. Like, the thing a lot of people were yelling at me about was, let your son play the game he wants. I'm like, I did. That's how the story ends, is that I let my son do what he wanted to do. Like, the story was my path to getting there, because you guys know me, right? I'm not overbearing in terms of how other people play games. I don't care how Blue wants to play his games. I don't care how Ash wants to play his games, right? Like, I'm very free willing. Like, I like to play games my way. You guys like to play your games that way, right? It's a different story with my son, and that's the thing I had to learn, because my son is a lot like me in a lot of other ways,
Yeah. And
Hmm.
you
but
feel
not
like
in this
they're
way. And that's a thing I had to
yeah.
learn. That doesn't come automatic. Like, the idea that I never should have wrote it because, like, who doesn't know that your kids aren't you? every single parent doesn't know that their kids aren't them until their kids become not them.
Somebody else.
That's how that
Yeah.
works.
It sucks.
I could definitely imagine.
It does when it happens.
I
You're
can
just
definitely
like,
imagine that. You know, and I seeing it, and I'm sure you guys saw it growing up too. You had to let your parents have that wake up call too. You know, if you had to tell them yourself, like, "Hey, I'm not you." I was like a super emotional 13-year-old into Linkin Park, and like I literally yelled at my dad once, like, "I want to be more like me and less like you." And my dad's like, "What are you talking about?"
more like
I mean, like I
I
was
was
in
with
that
you.
angsty,
I was
you know what I
with
mean?
you, bro.
Oh,
That was my
man.
jam. Them got me through it.
Yeah, but you know that's definitely the lesson at the end of the day. I just think there are a lot of people who are still Adam, even though they're grown.
Yeah, and that's the thing that genuinely surprised me, because like
Yeah.
I'm aware like the millennial generation got a bad deal. Like we did not get what we needed to basically feel like adults when we were supposed to be adults. So like there's a lot of us who are really just kids in adult bodies. And like I've tweeted about this like the other day. Like there's a Disney short that just released called 20 something that's about this.
Yeah, is that good?
Like it's awesome. Like it made me cry at the end because it's literally
I'll watch
about
the rest of
this.
this.
It's about adults who still feel like children inside, and that pretty much all adults are still children inside, right?
Yeah.
But that's something that just didn't occur to me as I was reading, because again, like I'm still the child here, and even in this story, and here's something I didn't want to do. Right, I didn't want to have to bring in a bunch of outside context to explain what's happening in what I wrote, because what I wrote I feel like should stand on its own. But the fact that so many
Right.
people got this completely different interpretation tells me that there was something I was missing, right? Like, and I
Yeah,
do have to pay
yeah.
attention and listen to that. But I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that, like Ash said, a bunch of folks didn't put their own spin on it and then go completely overboard in terms of their reaction to it, because that's just a fact as well.
For sure. Yeah.
But
Because
but here's some stuff that I do think a couple people missed in terms of like me pointing out all the flaws that they're saying aren't in here. A lot of people said that the last two sentences was the only redemptive portion in here. But the first thing you should know is this wasn't actually meant to be a written article. This was pitched as a video.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote the entire thing tongue in cheek because it's supposed to be narrated. There's supposed to be video and images that go along with this. Like the plan was to have myself and Adam act a bunch of this stuff out as if it was a dramatization, which
should've just made a TikTok.
immediately.
TikTok would have been great.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have got paid for that. So,
Fair.
but
You're right.
but I'm saying like immediately, if
Yeah.
you were watching myself and Adam reenacting the words here, I
whole
don't
different
think you'd
feel,
have
right?
gotten such a negative tone. Like it
I
would
think
have
it's
come
'cause-
across much more clearly that it was
Is it the medium?
not satire, but it was tongue in cheek.
I think it might just be the medium that, well, not just the medium, but the medium and some of the surrounding details that kind of messed you up. Because when you're reading this, you're thinking, you're extrapolating, and you're thinking this is kind of like long-term things. You know, you're not really getting the sense of time. But if it's an isolated event, then it looks like a funny thing that just happened. And then you can feel a type of way about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, DJ says you should still do the video. The video is on the back burner for now because of kind of all the stuff this stirred up. So it probably
I
needs
feel
some
like
time
the
to
video
breathe.
the video might help potentially. It could make it.
Well, no, because, and here's why I disagree with that. People who have that knee-jerk reaction, like they got it out of their system with that reaction. Like they're not interested in being proven that their reaction was wrong or being told that their reaction was wrong. They feel already vindicated in how they felt when they first read it. That's the right interpretation, the first one. So
True.
anything that basically says, hey, you should have took it like this, they're just going to push back hard on it. So like,
That's true.
don't really
I
care
feel
about
that.
appeasing that audience, if I'm being 100% honest.
double
Because
down.
they felt the way they were going to feel, and yeah, that's fine. In terms of this story coming out later as a video, like that was the original intention. I would still like to make that. It'll probably just happen maybe at some point down the road, and then we'll see how that takes off, if at all. But another thing I wanted to point out, I make a point of how my brother and I, or how millennials in general, kind of like to push people into things. Like it started young. And the ending point on that paragraph is that millennials today still believe that other people should be doing what they think they should be doing. Like, it's weird that that goes over so many people's heads when a lot of the criticism that came to me was you should be doing this with your son as opposed to what I was doing. I literally made the point that I was wrong for doing that. Like I say in the story, millennials like to do this. I tell you how I did that and then how I learned from it. And then you say, hey, you should be doing this. I find that to be quite ironic.
I got you.
I just wanted to
That's
add.
funny.
I just wanted to add that.
Yeah.
But also like the
Read everything.
and again like the summary part, like the filthy casual part, like that is meant to be funny. Like it's there's zero reason why you should call an 8-year-old a filthy casual. Like,
but the thing is, it happens. It happens though,
right?
And people are saying, "Oh, look,
kind
here
of
it
the
is
joke.
happening again."
Yeah, like that's, and the thing is, like I've never called him a filthy casual. He wouldn't know what that is. Like it doesn't make sense to him, the terminology filthy casual. But the reader would. The reader supposedly would understand that I am salty because I'm a father who wanted to get something, who wanted to get my son to realize something, and my son basically showed me like, "Hey, Dad, chill. Dad, you're wrong about this, Dad." And so, as a father who has been proven wrong by his son, it's like, you know what, you're right, son. But also, you're, like just a little jab at the end to basically let you know, like,
right, son.
Like,
I love you.
that's all it
Enjoy
was. Like, it's very,
games,
very innocent.
Have a good time. You filthy casual.
Yeah, the entire story is super innocent.
You just need to start writing with LOLs at the end of your sentences. Then everybody will be happy.
Yeah, like did I need
love
emojis in the thing?
You just gotta sprinkle a couple emojis,
yeah, bro.
get little happy faces, like little crying faces, like ha ha ha, he did this. Honestly, it would not be professional, but it would have solved all of these problems.
Seriously, you know we love GIFs. We love the GIFs, bro.
Yeah. Actually, I like reading a lot of Twitter stories with GIFs. Like they really fill in the blanks. Yeah.
Oh, the GIFs.
Oh man.
But yeah.
So yeah, I mean, anything left to add to this? I do wish we could have had some of the people who had much stronger feelings. I'm glad to know, Blue, that you also felt some kind of way by the text in here, and I hope at least there's some, like, you can understand the other take to that, because like and that was another thing that I guess I learned, because it's like, sure, as the kid in the story, you're like, just like Ash, if the parent was being overbearing, it's like, well, I don't like that. But then when you get to the other side, or you get a little older, you realize, well, maybe they were being overbearing, maybe they went about it the wrong way, but you understand that it was because they loved you. They wanted something specific for you, and they just didn't get to it the right way. Right.
And that's
something that I was able to come to terms with. Right. Yeah. And like that doesn't, and that's the thing. Like, I'm not sitting here telling you that I'm a perfect person. That's what the point of the story is. I learned something, as Scott Pilgrim would say.
I wish Scott
like
Pilgrim
I
for the
learned
first time
something. My son taught me something about him that is very important, something that I will never forget, which is why I chose to write about it and share it with other people in the hopes that they, if they're going through something similar, and apparently a lot of people have had the same revelation or have kids and now can look out for this sort of thing in their behavior with their kids and whatnot, and know to just keep that in the back of your head that, your kid is going to evolve and turn into their own person.
They're not,
and that's the moral of the story. Like, even if I hid that at the very bottom of the thing, like, that is the overall point. It's a twist ending in my head. That's the way I intended it to be. So I do apologize if anyone was actually like hurt by this. I'm gonna fully say that I don't see how someone could be hurt by this, because that's something that has nothing to do with me in that case, and everything to do with the person reading. If you were hurt by this.
I was gonna
say, mean even like sympathetically hurt, or are you talking about like?
No, I mean like the sense that reading this brought up something in their past that basically hurt them, and so like their reactions to come to the rescue, so to speak, of my son by calling his father a bad father. Also, I want to mention the original title for this was actually supposed to be a bad dad's epitaph. And
That actually, I could have changed a lot.
and that's the thing I'm wondering now, because in my head it's like that paints me as a bad dad from the beginning, and then the epitaph is basically saying that he's not a bad dad anymore, right? But the thing that pushed me away from that was the fact that like people don't like to think about titles; they want to react to titles. Like if I'd written a bad dad's epitaph, like if I've written if the title was a bad dad's epitaph, honestly. Exactly. And you know what?
I know. I get it.
All those people clicking on the article are helping me feed my son. So, like, what do you guys want from me?
He said, I'm being a good dad right now.
Right. Like, what do you want me to do? I picked a title that I thought would hit harder, and apparently I was right.
Oh my gosh.
I'll end it on that note.
If people were gonna read it anyway, like if you could guarantee the viewers, I think Bad Dad Epitaph would be better.
Yeah, if you could guarantee the viewers, I like
if you
that
could
one
guarantee
too.
the viewers.
If you guarantee the viewers, but I definitely understand why you would name it this one, because when I first read it, it is, ain't it? Clickbait is even though people like always say, "Oh, it's clickbait," it's like everything's clickbait.
I mean, it's not clickbait, but I get what you're saying.
I need you to click on it, but it's clickbait because I'm trying to get you to click on it. But it gets the people going, Kanye. but the article still matches the actual
Will Ferrell,
title.
By the way,
that was Will
Ferrell. Don't.
I'm sorry. I'm not gonna. All right. But yeah, but is it difference between like old school clickbait on YouTube where the video has like nothing to do with what you clicked on versus?
Well, yeah, that's clickbait. That's clickbait. Like this,
that's
is a provocative
clickbait.
title.
That's extreme clickbait. No matter what. It's
no. Clickbait is that's what bait means. Bait is a bait and switch. Yeah. Like clickbait means you're looking for something and you get something else.
It's just the bait. It's just the bait. It's all right.
Come on, man.
Bait. Oh, it's all right. It's all.
No, like all right.
It's okay.
You guys all read the article. How does the way my son plays video games pisses me off? Is that not what the article is about?
It is, but you.
It is. No.
So it's the title. It's not clickbait. It's not clickbait. That's my argument against it. It's what the article's about.
Less baity though, right?
I could make it less provocative. Yes.
He doesn't want to use the word bait.
Yeah, he doesn't want to use bait when they're synonymous. So go ahead.
Because it's not bait. It's not bait. Like the goal wasn't.
If you try to attract somebody,
the goal wasn't to get the reaction that I got. Like I'll tell you that right now. The goal was not to get a bunch of people upset. The goal was to get people to read the article.
Exactly. You wanted them to click it.
Okay.
Yes.
So you named it something.
Something provocative. Something attractive. Like, if you put bait in front of somebody, you're attracting them to it. Clickbait in here is not used as a negative connotation.
I mean, in my head, I see it as a negative connotation. Like it's like a trick. That's how I view clickbait.
We're not trying to say you're doing a trick. It's not catfishing. You know what I'm saying? We say that you chose a more provocative title so you can get more clicks. That's what that's for.
Yeah,
I get it. I do the same thing with my streams.
You were in YouTube where legit like extreme clickbaiting was a thing, so that's why you feel like it's a negative, and I felt that way too. But
I put hump day on my Wednesday streams so people see the word hump and they want to click it. You know what I'm saying? I'm being 100%.
But it's just at least your content matches the clickbaity title. You know what I'm saying? As long as the content matches, it's positive clickbait. It's done correctly. You know what I'm saying, Casey? You're fine.
I'm not mad at it.
Fine. I'm not mad. I love it.
It's a good move.
Well, keep it going.
I mean, based on the response, I do think it was a good move, though, because I'm with y'all. I like the other title better. Like I thought that was very clever, but like in thinking about it, it's like
you need to be on the circle
that's
too.
Not.
This man needs to be on the circle.
I think you would be amazing on the circle.
All right. Well, on that note, let's close
we can be the
our
first three-way team
and sign off.
Guys. We can do it.
Ash, where can people find you? What have you been up to?
I am streaming today because, gosh darn it, I want to play Tales of Arise. So, if you want to watch me play Tales of Arise today, and maybe I might either stream just longer than normal or do 2 streams today. But you can catch me on right there. Is that the right side?
Yeah, that's right.
Right there, Ash Redux. You can catch me Twitch/Ash Redux. Today I'll be playing definitely Tales of Rise. I might play a little bit more of the Call of Duty Vanguard beta because I think today's the last day it's up, so I might as well stream that a little bit. And just meet Casey shilling for herself, you know it. But
You don't get
but
finished.
Follow. Just go follow now. Just click on it. Do it now. Please.
All right, Blue, how about you? What do you got coming up this week that folks can check out?
It's your boy Blue Bones, BLUB0NES. Click that follow button. This week, we're back on Overwatch. Like I said, I'm supporting the workers, not the execs, as much as I can. We're going to get over Wednesdays on Hump Day. Let's see. What else? I'm not going to be on Smash this afternoon, unfortunately. I'm going to spend some time with Omega and the wife. But we also got Free For All Friday. I know we missed it this week. This week has been crazy. But this coming up week, we're going to do it again. I'm going to have a game for you guys probably by Wednesday. So you'll know to start downloading stuff, or you'll have update stuff, whatever. Be good to go by Friday. I've been trying to get us a server for Super Animal Royale, I think it's called, where it's basically a battle royale, but it's on Game Pass right now, and there's ways to get a private server. It's Gang Beasts? No, it's not Gang Beasts.
Yeah, it's just like Gang Beasts. No.
Oh, no.
No.
It's. I think you drop in and you got like guns and stuff like that, and I'll double check.
Oh, all right.
I'll double check. But
I thought that was a Gang Beasts clone.
Oh no. I think it's a little bit more than that, but anyway, that's one of the games I'm going to try and check out. It's on consideration for this week. So yeah, definitely hit that follow button. Sigs, what you got, bro?
Me. You can find me on this channel, Sigma Gears 9, as well as Twitter. And you can find work that I've done, like we just discussed, on the Escapist magazine website and the YouTube channel. If you have not read that article, go find it. I do personally think it's an interesting read, whether you get upset by it or you relate to it. I think either way, it'll leave an impression on you, so that's good. Outside of that, this coming week, I'm going to be hosting with Nick, with Marty, with Rachel, who's been on this show, the Escapist Indie Showcase. So it starts on Monday. There's going to be a big video and then some post-show stuff. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, I'll actually be on there talking to some devs about some indie games and whatnot. So that should be a fun time. Make sure you subscribe to the new Escapist Indie Showcase YouTube channel, because all the live streams and stuff will be over there. Like, it'll be archived over there. I think it'll still be live on the regular Escapist channel. But outside of that, keep an eye out for new Breakout podcasts, new A Marvelous Escape episodes on the What If series, and some other streams that we've done. Like, we did a game night stream with J-Mate, our newest contributor from The Escapist, and that was a lot of fun. We played Origami 2, and that reminds me that a 3-minute review for Origami 2 just dropped as well. So check all that stuff out. Also, catch me at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Open Party Twitch channel for Super Smash Sunday. Jeff should be there with me, so it'll be us two and whoever comes through to get their Smash on. So see you guys then. That's going to do it for today's episode. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to my two co-hosts for joining me today. Thought it was a great discussion. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Bye.